Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Oh boy. Sorry about the noise. I think it's the microphones, but I'm not sure. We'll fix it. Let's sing together. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Ai dai 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 dai. Ai dai dai dai. Ai dai 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 dai. Ai dai 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 dai. Ai dai 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 dai. Ai dai 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 dai. Ai dai dai dai. Hi dai dai dai. Hi dai 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 dai. Hi dai 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 dai. Hi dai 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 dai. Hi dai dai dai. Hi dai 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 dai. Hi dai dai dai. Ai dai 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 dai. Ai dai dai dai. Ai dai dai dai. Ai dai dai. Sing along, it'll warm you up. Shabbat Shalom, ask you to turn to page 105. Shochen ar marom v'kadosh shemo v'chatuv ranu tzadikim b'Adonai la'yesharim navateilah b'fi sharim titalal uv'divrei tzadikim titparach Ovel shon chasidim titromam, uvekerev kedoshim titkadash, umakalot rivevot amcha beit Yisrael. Lehodot le'alel le'shabeach, lefael batishmachot, el hahodaot adot haniflaot. הבוקר בשירי זמרו, מלך אלוקי העולמים, יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה. Please rise. בעלמא יברך ינותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמא. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשו בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבגר בדכם עתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור ובורא חושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. You may be seated.
Be seated. We're in the blue prayer book. We're at the bottom of page 107.
הכל יודוך והכל ישבחוך והכל יאמרו אין קדוש כאדוני הכל ירוממוך סלע יוצר הכל יוצר הכל האל הפותח בכל יום דלתות שערי מזרח ומאיר לעולם העולם כולו וליושבה שברה במידת רחמים המאיר לארץ ולעדרים עליה ברחמים. איי 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 האל הפותח בכל יום דלתות שערי מזרח ומאיר לעולם לעולם כולו וליושבה שברה במידת רחמים המאיר לארץ ולעדרים עליה ברחמים. איי 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 אין כרך אדוני אלוהינו בעולם הזה ואין זולתך מלכנו בחיי העולם הבא אפס מלך גואלנו לימות המשיח ואין דומה לך מושיענו חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו טובים מאורות שברא אלוהינו יצרם ודעת בבינה והשכל כוח וגבורה נתן בהם להיות מושלים בקרב תבל מלאים זיו ופיקים נוגה נעזים בם בכל העולם שמחים את צאתם ששים בבואם עושים בעבר רצון קונם פאר וכבוד נותנים לשמו צהלה ורינה לזכר מלכותו קרא לשמש ויזרח אור רעה והתקין צורת הלבנה שבח נותנים לו כל צבע מרום תפארת אור גדולה סרפים ואובנים וחיות שבע נותנים לו כל צבא מרום תפארתו גדולה שרפים ואופנים וחיות הקודש אל אשר שבת מכל המעשים ביום השביעי ועל מאורי אור שעשית יפרוך הסלע page 110 תתפרח צורנו מלכנו וגואלנו מורה קדושים כולם אהובים כולם ברורים כולם גיבורים וכולם עושים באימה וביראה רצון קונם וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושה ובתורה, בשירה ובזמרה, ומברכים ומשבחים, ומפארים ומריצים ומקדישים וממליכים את שם האל הגדול ראשו. וכולם מקבלים עליהם על מלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש ליוצרם בנחת רוח, בשפה ברורה ובנימה קדושה, כולם כחרונים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. והאופנים וחיות הקודש ברעש גדול מתנשאים ליום הצרפים, ליום התם משבחים ואומרים ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו ליל ברוך נמות יצאנו למלך וקיים אור חדש על ציון תאיר ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות אהבה רבה אהבתנו, אדוני אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה ויתרה חמלת עלינו. אבינו מלכנו, באבין להבינו להשכיל לשמוע, ללמוד לשמור ולעשות ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה והאר עינינו את תורתך ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך ויחד לבבנו לאהבה וליראה את שמך ולא נבוש לעולם ועד ולא נבוש לעולם ועד כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו נגילה ונשמחה נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך ואבינו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו אל פועל ישועות אתה ובנו מכרת מכל הבלשון וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע באמת להודות לך ויחדך באהבה ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayud hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam ve'shivtecha beveitecha uleftecha baderech ushokbecha uvekumecha Ushartam leot al yadecha ve'yunatotafo beinenecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. Leman tiskeru vasitem ekol mitzvotai vitem keroshim elechem ani Adonai elechem asher otzitchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Amen.
לדור ועדור הוא קיים ושמו קיים וכיסו נכון ומלכותו ואמונתו לעד קיימת. עודנו מצילנו מעולם שמך, אין אלוהים זולתך, עזרת אבותינו אתה הוא מעולם מגנו מושיע. אמת אתה הוא שהיא לו ליל עליון, ברוך ומבורך, משה בני ישראל לך אנו שירה, בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נוערות תהילות אוסף אלה. שירה חדשה שימחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם עודו והמליכו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך.
Eyes on page 115b. Ready? Take a big deep breath.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Isaac ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim Bekonei Hakol V'Zocher Chazdei Avod Umevin Goel Livnei B'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ava Melech Ozer Umashiach Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ufoked Sarah Atah Gibor Le'lam Adonai Echaye Metim Le'Rav Le'Oshia Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed Echaye Metim Berachabim Rabim Somech Noflim Rochech Olim Umatir Asurim Umeyem Emunato Lishnei Arafar Micha Mocha Val Gevurot Umidoleh Melech Metiv Umayeh Umashmiach Yeshua Ne'eman Atah Lechayot Metim Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayei Hametim.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב ביד נביאך, וקרא זה לזה ויאמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אז בקול רעש גדול אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מתנשאים ליום הצרפים Yom Atom, Baruch Yomei, Baruch Yevon Adonai Mimkomo. Mimkomecha Malkeinu, Malkeinu Tofia, V'timloch Aleinu, Ki merakim Anachnu Lach. Mimkomecha Malkeinu, Malkeinu Tofia, V'timloch Aleinu, Ki merakim Anachnu Lach. Matai, Matai Timlo, Timlo Metzion. Matai, Matai Timlo, Timlo Metzion. Bekarov Yameinu, Bekarov Yameinu, Leolam Vaet Yishkon. Bekarov Yameinu, Bekarov Yameinu, Leolam Vaet Yishkon. Titkadal v'titkadash, Titkadal v'titkadash, V'tor Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim Ircha, Ledor vador, Ledor vador, U'letzach netzachim, Ledor vador, Ledor vador, U'letzach netzachim. V'yeneinu ti Eloch Adonai leolam, Elohai Zion ledor vador, Hallelujah. Ledor manu nagid godlecha, U'lenetzach netzachim kedushatcha nakish, V'shifracha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush leolam va'ed. Ki el melech gadol v'kadosh ata, Baruch ata Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
Take a few moments now for personal quiet prayer. The words of the Amidah continue on the pages that follow. As you finish your prayers, you're welcome to be seated. The cantor will continue with us on page 138.
Yitgadol miknashem Rapa, be'alma divra kirutzev yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon ov yamechon ov chayrechol beit Yisrael, b'agalau v'zman karim v'himru, yehei shmei Rama mivarach, le'olam v'nol me'ol maya, yitbarach v'yishtamach v'yitpar v'yitshomam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitadar shemei nekudesha, B'richu leila min kol b'reda b'shirata, tush b'reda b'nechemata, damiram yama v'himro, tikabal tzolon hona v'adοχon l'chol Yisrael kodam avane mishmaya v'himro, yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim, aleinu v'lkol Yisrael v'himro, oseh shalom imromav, u'yaseh shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'himaru. Amen.
Good morning, Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Feinstein, and it's my joy to welcome you to the synagogue this morning. This morning we are doubly blessed. Every year, Valley Beth Shalom devotes one Sabbath morning, usually around Memorial Day, to celebrating those who have served our country and have defended the liberties that we cherish. So this morning we want to welcome all the veterans and their families to this service and hope that you enjoy our prayers and cherish a few moments together. Our program for veterans will begin in a little while. In addition, this morning, I want to introduce you a very brave young man. This is Adam Carmona, who is one of the bravest bar mitzvah boys we've ever had. A couple of months ago, he smashed his hand playing basketball. He was playing against the Golden State Warriors, and he was winning. And Steph Curry went up for a dunk, and he blocked it, and he broke his hand, and he had a cast on his hand. And we said, you still want to have the bar mitzvah? And he said, you're damn right I want to have the bar mitzvah. So with a cast on his hand, he continued to learn his Torah and his Haftorah, and we were ready to have his bar mitzvah last weekend. And before that, he came down with the virus. And his mother called me and said, he still wants to have the bar mitzvah. And I said, no. He needs to get better. He needs to get over this. So mom kept him home, let him watch TV, game shows and stuff, and play video games. And with the help of video games and game shows, he got better. And then we said, well, when should we do his bar mitzvah? Because he was all ready for last week. He'd learned the reading, he'd learned the prayers, he was all psyched of a synagogue. We who know the history of our people know that you don't take that for granted. It is a very dangerous world out there. And in that very dangerous world, brave young men and women said, I will take some years off of my life, away from family and away from school and away from the pursuits of my own dreams, and I will defend that which is most precious, the opportunity for a 13-year-old kid to play basketball, chant the prayers of his ancestors, and grow up safe. And that's what brings these two things together. So for all of you who are vets here today, this is what you served for, so that he would never have a day of his life when he had to worry. And Adam, I want you to meet some incredibly brave men and women who stood a post, who faced the darkness, so that you and I can be here to celebrate this really very special day. And today, in addition to celebrating your wonderful bar mitzvah, we get to say thank you to them for the commitment and the heart and the bravery that they showed. You also have commitment and heart and bravery. You're a tough guy, I got to tell you, to come back and to chant the Torah and to lead us in prayer. This morning, I want to ask your mom and dad to come forward and to share a few words with your son and a talit as a symbol of his becoming an adult in the course of our community. Here. Turn and face your parents. And you're listening to them. Speak right into the microphone. Smile at the kid.
Adam, Mazel Tov and happy belated 13th birthday. How fortunate we are to be here today and to celebrate these two monumental occasions in your life being so close together. When I think of the past 13 years, I get emotional, and I can't believe my baby boy is now a teenager. You entered this world in true Adam nature after 2 days of labor, sleep deprivation, existing on ice chips and juice, and with the threat of an emergency C-section looming over my head, you decided the time was finally right, giving the doctor barely enough time to catch you. I took one look at you and those big blue eyes, and everything was a blur. Fast forward to today, and true to form, you will procrastinate, think you have time until you realize the time is now, as you rush in to tell me we have 1 hour to complete something that's due tomorrow. One look at those big blue eyes, and I cave in. Life will not be as understanding as Mom, but your sweet nature and those big blue eyes will certainly come in handy. Adam, you have studied so hard, attended your mitzvah lessons on Sundays at 8:30 a.m. without ever complaining, likely because you were still asleep, and learned invaluable life lessons along the way. I want you to remember that while today does celebrate the ending of your Hebrew lessons, it also marks the start of a journey of a lifetime of personal growth and spiritual discovery. The most important lessons will occur after the party is over, when the music stops playing, and after you send thank you notes to all these generous guests. Yes, that's with ink and paper and not a text. As your inner spirit is beginning to speak, you will be responsible for listening to it and make choices that will guide you for the rest of your life. I feel for you because this world of ours and our future generations is in desperate need of care and repair. When you can, promote peace. When you can, promote loving kindness. When you can, promote compassion. When can you do these things? All of the time. Sure, it sometimes feels easy to list their child's many accomplishments or to plot a course for their child's life. As tempting as that may be, I'm not going to do that because I don't have any specific ambitions for you. You have so many gifts, you could do anything you set your mind to. I do have, however, a wish for you. I wish you an extraordinary life, one filled with the everyday miracles of love, friendship, family, useful work, and a sense of how precious it all is. You are a wonderful son and brother, though I'm sure Noah is rolling his eyes at that. I know you'll be a great man, a doting husband, loving father, and I see you to be the truest of friends with wisdom and compassion beyond your years. These past few weeks have been a series of unfortunate events, a few broken bones, and a last-minute disruption to this day of celebration. One of these events would have most adults melting down, but not you. Adam, you have a beautiful gift that allows you to take everything in and roll with the punches as only you can. When being told you needed a cast on your arm the same week as your bar mitzvah before it was postponed, most would have been in tears that everything was ruined, but not you. You made it a point to look at me at the doctor's office and inform me that the colors you were choosing for the cast would perfectly match your sneakers for the party and look good with your outfit. I couldn't help but think, well, at least his priorities are in order. Adam continued to always look at the bright side, to see the good that you always see when life doesn't go as planned, and when things go wrong, as they often will, to stick with the fight when you were hardest hit, and as much as most would have, Adam, you never quit. I am so happy to have a front row seat in the VIP section we call your life, and I'm so grateful to be your mother, and that we finally have the same shoe size so I can borrow your super cool sneakers. Mazel tov, and may God continue to bless you.
First of all, we're honored to have the veterans here to join us, and thank you. So, Adam, I like to call you my big little man. You often come up to me with a mischievous look, your head tilted up, asking me if I had a problem, challenging me with a chest bump, or thinking that I'm some kind of punching bag, snapping your playful punches against me. But soon enough, you smoothly break character with a crack of your smile. And that's how you greet me. What you don't know is that when Mom was pregnant with you, Mom and I were trying to figure out a name for you. We ultimately agreed that we wanted a strong, defining name that we both agreed that the name Adam Levi Carmona would be perfect. But behind the strong name is a compassionate, caring person whose personality at times is larger than life. That Adam personality is one full of spirit, charisma, and is contagious to be around because once you start laughing, everyone else follows. You definitely light up a room, or nowadays the mall, as you enter it. As you have matured, we have seen different traits develop. There's Coach Adam, on and off the court. On the court, he orchestrates his teammates and mirrors his coach's plays and directions. There is Coach Adam at home, mature beyond his years. This past year, our family was dealt a blow with our dog, Gus, diagnosed with an incurable type of cancer and was only given months to live. I was the stubborn and selfish one and wanting to hang on to Gus's life despite the signs of strain. It was Adam's stern voice and guidance expressing what was truly the best for Gus. It was that moment that we all stopped and listened as you expressed others to try your best. It is the hard work and efforts that you put in that will lead to your success. Remember, there is no shortcuts in life. It is true when you're competing in sports, games, or life in general. Because life is not about winning or losing, but rather that you gave it your all. It will be your persistence and never quit attitude that will carry you through the harder times in life. Stand firm in your beliefs and be yourself. Mom, Noah, and I joke that you are the rabbi in the household, and I check that you will continue to be firm in your faith and keep us all in check. Lastly, there is nothing more than I wish for you to go out in the world and blaze your own trail and leave your mark as you're starting to do already. Embrace this moment as all of your family and friends, and now veterans, are proud of you. I love you.
Wonderful. The service for taking of the Sefer Torah is found on page 139. We'll ask everyone to please stand. I'd like to call forward for the honor of opening the ark, Gavin, Reese, and Dylan. Please come forward. Page 139 in your prayer book.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, v'yein kema'asecha, malchutecha, malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Harachamim etiva virtzocha et Zion tivnei chomot Yerushalayim tivnei chomot Yerushalayim Hilecha levad vatavnu elech el ram v'nisa Adon olamim vayehi binso Aaron vayomer Moshe koma Adonai veyafotzu oivecha veyanusu mesanecha mipanecha ki mitzion tetzei Torah ki mitzion tetzei Torah udevar Adonai v'Yerushalayim Baruch shenatan Torah Torah Baruch shenatan Torah Torah le'amo Yisrael b'gedolah Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu.
Shemo Yachdav, Lecha Adonai Hagedula
הגבורה והתפארת והנצח והאור ככל בשמיים ובארץ ככל בשמיים ובארץ לך אדוני הממלכה והמתנשא לכל
Rosh. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishtachavu Lehar Kodsho.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו
Lehar Kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishtachavu Lehar Kodsho.
כי קדוש
Adonai Eloheinu Romemu.
כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו
Please have a seat. Have a seat for a second, okay? No. Yeah. I'll go back to Balatka, right? Okay. You're welcome now to close the blue prayer books and take out the large volume of the Chumash. We'll be reading from two Torah portions this morning, from the end of Leviticus and the beginning of the book of Numbers. Before we do that, just a very special guest I want to take a moment and introduce. If you've ever seen one of America's great military cemeteries, it's quite a startling thing to see. Thousands and thousands of graves, mostly of young people. Most of them, fields and fields of them covered with crosses, indicating those of the Christian faith. But among the crosses, the six-pointed Star of David and a crescent moon. And that's very powerful, because we may be separated in the places we worship and the languages in which we worship in life, but in death we are all equal. And we may be separated in the holy books that we cherish, but an ethic of liberty, of freedom, a passionate love for this country, a desire to protect our families, in that we are absolutely equal. And so among the crosses are stars of David, of Jewish Americans who gave their all. And among the crosses are crescent moons of Muslim Americans who gave their all to protect us. Mr. Muhammad has to leave in a few minutes to attend a meeting. So I asked him to come and introduce himself to us and to share a few words. He's the leader of Muslim veterans of the United States. Please.
And Dov Cohen, I met them years ago when they spent, it took them 50 years in this country to get Jewish American heroes who fought for this nation to get the Medal of Honor due to institutionalized anti-Semitism. I have 3 veterans in my family. One was Vietnam. And currently, there's 4,000 to 7,000 American Muslims who are in the armed services. Amongst, as Rabbi mentioned, Jewish Americans, Americans of all faiths, but as soldiers, they belong to one country, one identity, America. And I created a support network for those veterans, and with the help of Chaplain Dov Cohen and my good friend Harvey Keenan, who I really consider them gems in your community. If you get to know them, you'll really see what I'm saying. And I'm just going to end here with what I found in this Torah prayer book. It says, in the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful, and I'll quote this prayer book. None compared to you, Adonai, and nothing compares to your creation. Your sovereignty is everlasting. Your dominion endures throughout all generations. People come and go, but God's forever. Young man, your friends will come and go, but God is forever. And the Torah and the Quran and the Talmud says if you save one life, it is as you save the whole human race. Thank you, Rabbi, for honoring all the veterans today. Thank you, Chaplain Dov, and thank you, Harvey. And I thank this beautiful congregation for allowing me to share the spiritual moments on your Sabbath holy day. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We're about to read the Torah. To introduce the Torah reading, Rabbi Joshua Jacobs, rabbinic intern here at VBS. Please.
This week, we start a new book of the Torah called Bamidbar, which means in the wilderness. But we don't call the book in the wilderness. We call it Numbers, which right away is an interesting choice because in the wilderness is a great title for a book. Naming it Numbers is like naming The Grapes of Wrath 500 pages on the Dust Bowl, or like naming 1984, well, actually that time it worked. Except what if it's called Numbers because it really is trying to make a significant spiritual point about numbers, how we count people, how we number our years and mark time. Today we're honoring all of our veterans in attendance. You are enriching our Shabbat celebration by letting us celebrate you. And we're also celebrating Adam's bar mitzvah. I believe that somehow the weekly parasha, the subsequent chapter of Torah that we read, always manages to comment on our current moment, despite its ancient context. Here's why I think this week's chapter, Numbers, from which the book gets its name, is coming at the exact right moment. It opens with a census. God liberated the people of Israel from slavery in Egypt, and at least supposed to count fellow Jews. Because you can't diminish a human being, a unique soul, to a cold, unfeeling number. This predates the Shoah, the Holocaust, where we saw the dehumanizing effect of numbering in its extreme form, a tattooed branding of the arm. But sometimes we have to count. There are certain prayers that require a minyan, a quorum of 10 Jewish adults praying together in order to be said. So what some people do is they use a 10-word phrase, a verse from the book of Psalms. So instead of a number, you're accounted for with a word of praise. It goes like this: Hoshia et amecha uvarech et nachalatecha urem venasem ad haolam. In English, that means save your nation, bless your inheritance, tend us and lift us forever. There's that language of lifting again, as we pray for God's protection. Using this in lieu of numbers to count people says that we are, each one of us, holy, sacred, Torah, imbued with sacredness beyond measure, duty-bound to honor and protect one another. I also think this verse is appropriate to invoke in the presence of our U.S. military veterans because that's what you've done, and it's what you continue to do. You save your nation, bless your inheritance, which is freedom. You tend us and lift us forever. And what can we possibly do in return? I think the Torah this week helps us understand where to start. Because numbers are hard to process. For some of us, numbers are so hard to process that we become rabbis, where we deal mostly in words and numbers can't hurt us. But because numbers are hard to process, they can help desensitize us to tragedy and hard truths, like this one. According to the 2021 Housing and Urban Development Homeless Assessment Report, 19,750 U.S. veterans were experiencing sheltered homelessness. If the number was 1, it would be heartbreaking and unacceptable. But there's something about a big number, like 19,750, that makes us just want to put our head down and keep it there. So this week we read Se'u et Rosh, because God doesn't want us to keep our head down. God tells us, raise the head. See the humanity behind the number. So we support and celebrate veteran organizations like the American Legion, Wings Over Wendy's, and all others represented here today, who know exactly what it means to Se'u et Rosh. And then there's another number, 13. Adam, what does it mean to be 13? How do we wrap our head around a number like that? Because it could just be like any other number. But in Judaism, it's not. It means you're a bar mitzvah. It means you're ready to rise to your own sense of duty and sacred obligation by protecting and defending our tradition. And there's a lot of responsibility that comes with Jewish adulthood. You count in a minyan now, the quorum of 10 Jewish adults for prayer, which means that verse applies to you too. We ask God, save your nation, bless your inheritance, tend them and lift them forever. So your task, Adam, should you choose to accept it, is to bless our inheritance, which is Torah, and to tend us and lift us forever, which you can only do by being yourself, because you're a unique soul. You're one of a kind. And as far as numbers go, there's only one of you. Shabbat Shalom.
Come on up. Yossi, Bakasha. You will find the reading beginning with Parshat Bahalotcha, Bechukotai, on page 747 in the red book. And then we'll switch to Bamidbar about halfway through. Okay, you ready?
ויעזור ויגן ויושיע לכל החוסים בו ונאמר אמן. כל הפגנתו תורה יעמדו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torto. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Im bechukotai telechu, vet mitzvotai tishmeru, vasitem otam. V'natati gishmichem be'itam, v'natna aretz yevula, ve'etz hasadeh yitem preyot. Ve'hisig lechem da'ish et batzir, u'batzir yasig et zara. Va'al chotem lachmechem lasova, yishavtem lavetach bartechem.
ברוך אתה.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam nata betohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
יעמוד בנימין בן יעקב ויעל לעלייה השנייה. Page 748.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. Repeat.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. ונתתי שלום בארץ, ושבתם ומחריד, והשבעתי חיה רעה מן הארץ, וחרב לא תעבור בארצכם, ורדפתם את אויביכם, ונפלו לפניכם לחרב, ורדפו מכם 500, ומאה מכם רבבה ירדופו, ונפלו אויביכם לפניכם לחרב, ופניתי עליכם, והפריתי אתכם, והרביתי אתכם, והקימותי את בריתי איתכם.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Now we move to Parashat Bamidbar. You find it on page 769 verse 1. יעמדו קרי בת רמיהו ושמעון בן שאול ולאה, דוד בן שלמה ושמחה לעלייה שלישית. קרי, סטיב and David. Take the tzitzit corner of the talit, all of you, both of you. Touch the Torah here. Touch the Torah. Let your kiss to be part of this, and together we go. Baruch et
Adonai Hamvorach.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. Repeat. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. הוא איש למטה, איש ראש לבית אבותיו הוא.
The bottom of the page together. ברוך אתה.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hegayanu Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
יעמדו ירמיהו בן עזרא וארנד, בית בת שאול ורחל, יעקב בן יעקב, בן יוסף ורחל, לעלייה רביעית. This would be Gary, Marsha, and Jake. Take the tzitzit, the corner of the talit, take it, touch the Torah, and together we go the top of the page.
Adonai Hamvorach.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. Repeat.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'charanu b'kol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. ואלה שמות האנשים אשר יעמדו איתכם, לראובן אליצור בן שדי אור, לשמעון שלומיאל בן צורי שדי, ליהודה נחשון בן עמינדב, ליששכר נתנאל בן צועה, לזבולון אליאב בן חילו. זהו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher notah lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam notah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
The fifth aliyah you find on page 771, verse 10. יעמדו שלמה בן פרדיק וסולטנה, לאה בת שלום ואסתר, לעלייה חמישית לבנימין. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. repeat. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך
אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים נתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
בנימין? לא, לא, לא. לבני יוסף. לבני יוסף. חלום. לבני יוסף.
אוקיי.
אמן. לבני יוסף לאפרים אלישמע בן עמיהוד, למנשה גמליאל בן פדצור, לבנימין אבידן בן גדעוני, לדן אחייעזר בן עמישדי, לאשר פגיאל בן אוחרן, לגד אליסף בן דאואל, לנפתלי אחירה בן אינן, אלה קרואי העדה, נשיאי מטות אבותם, ראשי אלפי ישראל הם.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך עולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן. ויקח משה ואהרון את האנשים האלה אשר נקבו בשמות ואת כל העדה הקהילו באחד לחודש השני, ויתיילדו על משפחותם לבית אבותם במספר שמות מבין 20 שנה ומעלה, ולגלגלותם כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה ויפקדם במדבר סיני.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
יעמדו הרב שלמה בן לייב הכהן ולאה הרב בילה חווה בת אליעזר נחום וחיירי זלה להוספה ויהיו בני ראובן.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן. ויהיו בני ראובן בכור ישראל תולדותם למשפחותם לבית אבותם במספר שמות לגולגלותם כל זכר מבין 20 שנה ומעלה כל יוצא צבא פקודיהם למטה ראובן 46,500 לבני שמעון תולדותם למשפחותם לבית אבותם פקודיו במספר שמות לגולגלותם כל זכר מבין 20 שנה ומעלה כל יוצא צבא פקודיהם למטה שמעון 59,300.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברך חירותי והמליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומך ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה יתברך וישמוד הבחור הבר מצווה לוי בן יעקב ויעל מפטיר חזק חזק. We're going back to page 756, the bottom of the page, verse 32. As we read the last verse, we'll ask you all to rise and to shout as loud as you can, Chazak, Chazak, Venit Chazek. Touch the Torah. Kiss it. Kiss it. And loud.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. וכל מסע בקר וצאן, כל אשר יעבור תחת השבת העשירי יהיה קודש לאדוני. לא יבקר בין טוב לרע ולא ימירנו, וימהר ימירנו, והיה הוא ותמורתו יהיה קודש לא יגאל.
Please rise. אלה המצוות.
אלה המצוות אשר ציווה אדוני את משה אל בני ישראל
בהר סיני. חזק חזק ונתחזק.
חזק חזק ונתחזק. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורה אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
יעמדו המגביה והגולל. Bring the speech in after. וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני
Please be seated. You'll find the Haftarah, the prophetic section for this Shabbat, on page 764, following Adam's words of commentary. Wait 1 second. Wait, just turn the microphone. You're going to speak into the microphone. Take a big deep breath. Good boy. You're doing really good today.
Thank you.
Ready? Okay, go for it.
Shabbat Shalom, and thank you so much for being here.
No hurry. I got plenty of time. Start again.
Shabbat Shalom, and thank you so much for being here on one of the most special days in my life. It means a lot to me to look out and see my family and close friends in the congregation on the video of my services. I stand here today with great pride in not only being Jewish, but also being a bar mitzvah. This is so important to me because it is a continuation of my Jewish education since taught Shabbat from the age of 2, but also a tribute to my parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents who are from Portugal, Morocco, Spain, Turkey, and deep in the 818 area code. To this day is the end result of dedication, hard work, and discipline one must take, especially in these very challenging times to be here. As my parents can tell you, there were ups, downs, battles, and many cell phone timeouts along the way. But I'm here and happy to say my cell phone is no longer in timeouts. I am also happy to announce that my mom will no longer have to shout across the house to say, "Adam, it's mitzvah time." This is not to be confused with dinner lesson in this new chapter of my life, and the meaning of my Haftarah portion is about the choices I make and how will they impact my life for good or bad. I have to admit that I didn't make the best choices over the last year. I was spending too much time being social with my friends and less time on my studies. My grades slipped a bit at school, and I fell behind on my Judaic studies with my Hebrew tutor. The tutor called my parents with deep concern that if I didn't get it together, I was not going to have everything learned in time. I had a choice to make: be in the doghouse with my parents and feel bad for myself, or change my habits and put in the time and effort into studying. This struggle did not mean I was a failure, just that I knew to make a choice of what was important, start to focus, be determined, and rise to the occasion. When you stumble, they say you dust yourself off and pick yourself up. I did exactly that and found my rhythm again. After countless of hours of studying weekly, my grades are back to standards where I'm happy with, and most importantly, I am here today having learned my Torah, Haftarah portions, and prayers. And also in doing this, I feel better myself and see how easy choices can change our life for good or bad. In choosing our choices, I choose to give back to those in need in my community as my mitzvah project. I will be collecting and buying with part of my gift money sports equipment, clothing, and other items to donate to children that are less fortunate than myself. I am very blessed to have the privilege to play a sport, have my uniform, shoes, and a team of friends to play with. This is not true for many children local, as I witnessed firsthand when I was 8. During the winter break, my parents decided to spend the day in downtown LA with my brother's basketball team and all their families, going to Skid Row to give out clothes, blankets, and pillows to the homeless with our own monies that we received during the holidays. At first, I didn't understand how anyone could need all these things, as I'd never seen it firsthand. To this day, those memories are something that I remember vividly. To donate to the less fortunate is something that I feel we could all do, because there are people in this world that work very hard for their families to have daily essentials to keep them alive, and they still struggle. I still can see the faces of those that were in need. What really touched my heart was watching parents having to hug their children that were my age to keep warm, knowing that their children were homeless. This was so incredibly sad, as they loved their kids as much as my parents loved me and want the best for them like all parents. I started thinking about all those events and choosing and learning my Haftarah, and I'm grateful to personally have made the harder choice that was best for me and my family in the end. In conclusion, I want to say that none of this would be possible without all my years here at VBS, especially with the help of my cantor Lori. She has been here for me and has helped me with her kind notes and wonderful way of teaching a distracted boy his Haftarah. I want to say thank you for my friends for being here, and no matter what we do, we always have fun and we always laugh and have fun. I want to thank my family for being here and always making our Jewish traditions fun and competitive, and who could eat the most of anything. I want to thank all my grandparents. I'm so fortunate to have them all around in my present life. Your love of family and support of everything I do is the best feeling. Thank you for raising my two wonderful parents to be who they are, as I wouldn't be who I am without them. Noah, you are a great role model, and I'm so lucky to look up to you. Thank you for having the best shoe collection. I'll miss you when you go to college, and I'll pray for my foot to go to a size 12 so I can keep your shoe company on my feet. Dad, thank you for always being here for me, but running a few minutes late. You are a great dad and have the best sense of humor, especially when I beat you in fantasy football. You always encourage me to try new adventures and to never limit myself in anything. I can't wait to beat you in golf as well as basketball. Lastly, Mom, you're the glue that holds us all together. Without you, nothing happens as fast and with attention to every single detail. You are so creative and amazing with everything you did yourself for my bar mitzvah. I gave you one idea and you made it a reality. Asher bachar binviim tovim veratza vedibrehem haneemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uveMoshe avdod uveYisrael amod uvimviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Adonai uzi uma uzi umenusi b'yom tzara elecha. Goyim yavo me'afsei haaretz vayomru ach sheker nachalu avotenu havel vein bamoyil hayaselo adam Elohim vehem alo Elohim lachen hineni modeam bapa'am azot odiem et yadi ve'et gvurati ve'yadu ki shemi Adonai chatat Yehuda ketuva ve'et barzel betipor and shamir charusha luach libam ule karnot mizbechotechem. Kizkor b'neihem mizbechotam va'asherehem aletz ra'anan al gevahot hagvahot hadadi basadeh helcha kolozotecha levaziten v'amotecha bechatat bechol gevulecha Veshmata uvecha minachalatcha asher natati lach vehavatticha et oivecha ba'aretz asher lo yadata ki esh kedachtem be'afi ad olam tukad ko amar Adonai Arur Gever Asher Itach Badam Vasam Basar Zero Umin Adonai Yisur Libo Vehaya Kera'ar Barava Velo Yir'et Kiavotov Vishichen Charerim Bad Mibar Eretz Malecha Velo Teshev Baruch HaGever Asher Yiftach B'Adonai V'haya Adonai Miftecho V'haya Ke'et Shatul Hamayim V'al Yuval Yishalach Sharashav V'lo Yir'eh Ki Yavochom V'haya lehu ra'anan uvishna batzoret lo yidad ve'lo yamish me'asot peri akov alech mikol ve'anushu mi'edarenu ani Adonai choker levochen kelayot Velater leish kiracham kifri ma'alalav kore dagar velo yalad עושה אושר ולא במשפט את אדוני. רפאני אדוני וארפא, הושיעני ויבשע, כי תהילתי אתה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, סור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, ונאמנים דבריך, ודבר אחד מדבריך, אחור לא ישוב ריקם, כי המלך נאמן ורחמן אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני.
ברוך שמו.
האל הנאמן בכל דבריו. רחם על ציון כי בית חיינו, ולעלובת נפש תושיע במהרה בימינו. ברוך אתה אדוני, משמח ציון בבניה. שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו, באליהו הנביא עבדך, ובמלכות בית דוד משיחך, במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו, על כיסו לא ישב זר, ולא ינחלו עוד אחרים את כבודו. כי בשם קודשך נשבעת לו, שלא יכבה נרו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני.
ברוך שמו.
מגן דוד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ביום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני. מקדש השבת.
Siman tov u'mazel tov v'siman tov, siman tov u'mazel tov v'siman tov, siman tov u'mazel tov v'siman tov, yehelanu. Siman tov u'mazel tov v'siman tov, siman tov u'mazel tov v'siman tov, siman tov u'mazel tov v'siman tov, yehelanu, 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 oh lechol Yisrael, yehelanu, yehelanu, oh lechol Yisrael, David melech Yisrael, chai v'kayam. David melech Yisrael, chai v'kayam.
Mazel tov. You can sit down if you want. Take a moment for two very special prayers, a prayer for friends and family who are ill, and a prayer for friends and family who defend and protect the state of Israel. Avinu Shabbat Sur Yisrael v'Goalo, Barechet Medinat Yisrael Reshit. If there's someone in your circle of loved ones, of friends, of one who is close to you, suffering, then please hold their presence in your heart and share this prayer. May the source of blessings for the generations that came before us bless and heal all who are sick and suffering and in pain this Sabbath. May God remind them that they are loved and prayed for. May God guide the hands of the doctors and the spirits of the nurses. and those who bring healing and help and strength. May God return them to us very soon to celebrate the moments of life together. And together we pray, amen. We return now to the blue prayer book, page 151, Ashrei. Go.
Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha, Od Hallelujah, Selah. Tehillah leDavid, Aromimcha lo Melech, Varacha Shimcha leolam va'ed. Gedol Adonai lol me'od, veligdulato in cheker. Chardai chevododecha, v'divler nifotecha asicha. Zecher rav tucha yabiu, v'zidchacha ra'anenu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai erachacha.
Tov Adonai lecho, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav.
Karov Adonai lekol korav.
Kevod malchutcha yomeru, ugvurotecha yadaberu.
Ve'hodi livnei adam gvurotav, v'dar malchuto.
Malchutcha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor vador.
Somech Adonai lechol anochi, chef lekol hakfufim.
Einecho elecha yasaberu, ve'ata noten lahem et ochlam be'ito.
פותח את ידיך, משביע לכל חי רצון.
Tadik Adonai bechol devracha, ve'chatzid bechol ma'asav.
הרוב אדוני לכל קוראיו, לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
Retzon Yeriav Yaseh, ve'et Shavatem Yishma ve'yoshiem.
שומר אדוני כל אוהביו, ואת כל הרשעים ישמיד.
Tehillat Adonai Yidbar Pi, Vivarako Basar Sham Kocho Le'olam Va'ed, V'anachnu Nervarya, Netave Adolam, Hallelujah.
He's the best candy picker-upper we've ever had in this shul. I'm going to give him a job when he's done with this. The service for returning the Sefer Torah found on page 153. We rise up together. We call forward for the honor of opening the ark, Ina and Phoebe and Maddie. Please come forward.
יהללו את שם אדוני,
Doing good.
כי נשכח שמו לבדו, עודו על ארץ ושמיים, וירם קרן לעמו, תהילה לכל חסידו, לבני ישראל עם קרובו. הללויה, הללויה, ישראל ואורייתא, קודשו בריחו, קרהו, ישראל ואורייתא, קודשו בריחו, קרהו. תורה אורה, תורה אורה, הללויה. תורה אורה, תורה אורה, תורה אורה, הללויה. 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 ובנוחו יאמר, עץ חיים היא, למה חזיקים בה, לתוכחה מאושר, דרכיה דרכנו
Shalom. Ashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Kadesh Kadesh Yameinu Kadesh Yameinu
Please be seated. Okay. Go slow, go slow, go slow, go slow. That's it, that's it. Yeah, stay right there. Helps to have the best physical therapist in the world in the family. There you go. Thanks, Dr. Jack. You're a brave family, boy, I'll tell you. It's wonderful. That's great. There is a very important life lesson in the Torah you read for us. Moses gives it in fancy theological religious language. You and I know it by a different moniker. It's called squishy sock. What is squishy sock? Well, it doesn't rain here very often in Southern California, but when it does, it's a big adventure. And we would watch little kids coming into the nursery school, and they would see these giant puddles on the sidewalk and on the parking lot, and the little kids would want to jump into the puddle, because there's nothing more fun than jumping into a puddle and seeing it splash everywhere. Except for one small problem. If you jump in a puddle and it splashes everywhere, yes, your shoes and socks get full of water. And if you do that first thing in the morning, you spend the rest of the school day with a condition that is clinically known as
Squishy sock.
squishy sock. Squishy sock, which is just disgusting, you know? It's gooey and it's yucky and it gets cold and your feet itch and it's nasty. And I used to tell the older kids in school, and he was one of them, if you see a little guy and he's about to jump in a puddle, stop him, because you know what's going to happen next. That is the definition of intelligence. Moral intelligence consists of the perception that every choice comes with consequences. And intelligence, moral intelligence, means that we can foresee the consequences of our choices. And because we can foresee the consequences of our choices, we can make better choices. And as tempting as it is to jump in a puddle, and my God, it is, means that you're ready to become a bar mitzvah. Because that's what adulthood is. Adulthood is the recognition that all choices come with consequences. Because there's an entire industry in this country, in this world, trying to convince you otherwise. Trying to convince you that you can do whatever you please, whatever you want, whatever you desire, whatever your impulses lead you to do, and there are no consequences. I mean, Nike says, just do it. But just do it comes with consequences. And is just do it the right thing to do? And that moment of reflection, to stop and say, is this a good choice? What are the consequences of this choice? That's what your Torah reading is all about. Moses pleads with his people. Ask yourself, what are the consequences of our choices? Of our individual choices and our collective choices. Our individual choices, well, here's the sad news. When you were a little kid, your mom and dad could fix pretty much anything. You threw a baseball through a neighbor's window, they went over and apologized and they fixed the window. You knocked over the neighbor's trash cans on your bicycle playing ball, we went over and apologized and fixed the trash can. But now that you're a kid, bigger, more powerful, now that you're becoming an adult, there are mistakes that you can make, choices that you can take, that we can't fix the consequences for. They're now, you own them now. And that's a scary thought. That's a scary thought because your mom and dad still want to protect you, but they're not going to be able to because you're out on your own making choices. They have to trust that they've planted in your own moral intelligence and in your conscience the ability to make really good choices. And collectively, you will see this. You will see communities, cities, countries, the world make choices. And you will say to yourself, don't they see the consequences of this choice? Don't they understand where this is going to take us? Can't they see the squishy sock at the end of this puddle? And the answer is, there is a huge way for closing your eyes to that. And that is what you're going to have to own for the rest of your life, because that's what you read in your Torah portion today. You have demonstrated a great deal of intelligence. You have demonstrated a great deal of sensitivity. You have a really sweet sense of humor, which I really enjoy.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful sense of caring for people around you, a wonderful sense of your family, and a wonderful sense of what the community means to you. Now you have a job. You have to become a prophet and speak the truth of squishy sock to the whole world. Make good choices.
Yeah.
And teach your friends and peers to make good choices. And teach people to take a moment and consider those choices. And consider the impact of the choices that you make on the lives of the people about you. And if you do that, dear Adam, if you do that, then you will live up to the Torah that you read today. I hope that you never lose your sense of humor. I hope that you never break your hand again. I hope COVID is over for you. I hope that adulthood is gentle on you. And I hope that you can spread this wisdom to all the people that you meet.
Thank you.
You have a great, powerful soul, my boy. Now go out there and teach. I want to ask your mom and dad if they'd come stand with you, please. I want to ask everyone in your family to stand up and accept our wishes of Mazel Tov for a very sweet and wonderful Simcha. I want to ask all your friends, teammates, stand up and enjoy our wishes of Mazel Tov, and ask everyone in the community to stand and to share together as we offer our blessings to a young man about to begin his life as an adult in our community, as part of our minyan. If you'd put your hand on your son's head. Simcha Elohim Kefraim and Hashem, may God give you the strength and the wisdom of the ancient ones. It is God who gives us days and enables us to reach moments of joy. Amen.
Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, mazel tov, siman tov, mazel tov, siman tov, Yehelanu, 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 Olechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Olechol Yisrael, David Melech Yisrael, Chai v'kayam, David Melech Yisrael, Chai v'kayam.
We'll go sit down. Mazel Tov. Please be seated. You can stop. Go sit down. Take your books with you. Smile. Take your yad. Good boy. You can rest a minute. As a bar mitzvah, we give him many presents. The synagogue is going to give him a kiddush cup, a sacred cup, a tzedakah box, a box for charity, some books, a certificate. His family will give him checks and bonds, big bonds. When I was a kid, it was pencil and pen sets from Parker. And if you had rich relatives, cross pens, schnapsy pens, right? These days it's computer peripherals and God knows what else. But we give him one more gift, which is, after all, the most precious gift that he gets. He gets tomorrow. He gets the gift of tomorrow. That he gets to grow up and he gets to worry about where he's going to go to college. Will it be UCLA or SC? Michigan or Ohio State? Harvard or Yale? He gets to decide which law school he's going to go to. Harvard or Harvard? He gets to decide what career he's going to follow. He gets to find a life partner. He gets to decide where he's going to live. We give him the gift of tomorrow. And that is not a small thing. You know that. We give him a gift of tomorrow because there is a line between him and all that's out there. And you folks stood on that line. And you faced what's on the other side of the line so that he could grow up and never know that. So all he has to worry about is whether SC football is going to come back next year. That's all he has to worry about. He doesn't have to worry about who's on the other side of that line looking for him, hunting for him, hating him. That hatred, that evil, that darkness, that threat will never touch his soul. You gave him that gift because you stood a post, because you accepted a commission, because you swore an oath, because you stood on that line. And you said sacred words. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. And this community of Jewish men and women who have a long history of knowing the evil that's on the other side of the line, we don't take that lightly. We honor you. We celebrate you. We pray for you. This Shabbat, this Sabbath, dedicated to Adam's bar mitzvah and his family and their joy. And out of gratitude, it's dedicated to all of you who made that possible. So to the veterans, welcome. You honor us by your presence. You honor us by allowing us to tell your stories. The person who's put this Shabbat together year after...
So I'd first like to call up Rabbi Barbara Spire. She will introduce herself and she'll tell you exactly what she does.
Shabbat Shalom. I did live in Texas, so I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Shabbat Shalom. I'm honored to be here and happy to see so many familiar faces. I must tell you that my work at the VA hospital has been extremely gratifying and inspiring. I had no idea what direction my future would be when I moved to Los Angeles. Excuse me. Excuse me. I am a product of Boston through and through. Go Celtics. I was in the first bat mitzvah group at my synagogue, not 100 years ago like Mordechai Kaplan's daughter, but nonetheless, I was one of the first ones. I went to Hebrew Teachers College as well and earned a bachelor's degree and master's degree there, and also went to Boston University and earned a bachelor's degree. My future was set, and I taught Hebrew at a local synagogue. However, my life changed when I married. I had told my husband how much I love Israel, and he said he did not like to travel. While he was completing his PhD at Harvard, he applied for a postdoc at the Weizmann Institute. He was accepted, and we went to Israel with 2 little children and spent a wonderful year there. My husband decided that he preferred to be an academician, and so he applied for positions and was offered a position at the University of Texas. We relocated to Austin with 3 children. We attended a newcomer's reception from the local synagogue where I met a young widow whose husband had died tragically. I thought to myself, how on earth would I be able to support a family on the salary of a religious school teacher? It was $2,500 a year. I went to the University of Texas and consulted with someone there who encouraged me to take the GRE. I was then accepted to the business school at UT and began my studies. Shortly thereafter, I was pregnant with my 4th child, and not only did I have him, but I also earned an MBA. Fast forward to Los Angeles. I knew that women were admitted into rabbinical school, and I decided that I wanted to complete my Jewish studies. Was it too late for me? Was I too old? I flew back to New York and consulted with a friend with whom I'd gone to Hebrew school back in the day. She encouraged me to pursue the rabbinate. I was in the first class of rabbis ordained at Ziegler, and the ceremony was held here at Valley Beth Shalom. I am forever grateful to all those who supported my efforts. While in rabbinical school, a classmate of mine told me he was taking a course in CPE, Clinical Pastoral Education. I learned that this is the training to be a chaplain. Realizing that my future was here in Los Angeles, my husband's at UCLA, I began to take the course. This evolved into a one-year residency at UCLA, and I became board certified as a chaplain. In the year 2000, 5 national chaplain organizations put together a document on professional chaplaincy. And I've been conducting Shabbat services regularly in West LA, VA, at this nursing home. I also go to the Sepulveda VA once a week. I used to have a service there on Thursday, but that has been on hold since COVID. I do visit the Jewish residents at Sepulveda. I conduct high holiday services there, and prior to COVID, we had many celebrations for Hanukkah, Purim, and Passover. On Sukkot, I go around the hospital with a lulav and etrog. We even have a sukkah at the VA. I give my business card to all the veterans I meet, and they know they can contact me anytime. I have learned that people do not abuse the privilege of being able to call me if they have any concerns, but be they health-related or holiday-related. I write a monthly column for the Jewish War Veterans newsletter. The Post meets monthly, and I attend their meetings whenever possible. Once a week, I'm in a virtual visit with veterans who used to be part of the daily outpatient day program. These veterans are actively on Zoom, and we have wonderful discussions on spirituality, the holidays, or current events. They're mostly older veterans, but mentally quite capable. 3 times a week, the hospital staff discusses the residents at the nursing home. These meetings used to be in person with the veterans and their families. Now we participate by phone, and although it is by no means an ideal situation, we are able to communicate with the veterans and their families and update them on their health and welfare. I help coordinate the quarterly memorial service at the VA, and until COVID, families would come to the chapel and remember their loved ones. It was an opportunity for them to share memories of their loved ones and for us to honor their memory. Now we have the memorial virtually, and one can access that on Facebook. Additionally, I contact the Jewish families to remind them of the yortzites of their loved ones. The chaplain service has many chaplains, and we are all quite varied. Some are male, some female. Some were born here in the United States, but many were born in Europe, Asia, or the Pacific Islands. We're collegial and respect one another. We have our religious differences, but we all share the same goal of providing spiritual care to the veterans, their families, and significant others, as well as to staff. Working with so many different cultures and religious affiliations makes life rather interesting. Being involved with the Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity Committee, as well as the Ethics Committee, enables me to understand the problems people face, which may be quite serious. I do know that the patients are appreciative of chaplain visits regardless of their religious persuasion. I have been blessed with meeting so many wonderful people and also realize that there are times when there is conflict. Sometimes the medical team wants to have the people undergo a procedure, but the patient refuses. Other times there's conflict with the patient and his or her family. We respect the goals of patient care, but that can also change during treatment. One thing I know for sure, I cannot fix everything, and it can become stressful when I see someone declining in health. Life is a gift, and there are times when one has to face the realization that death is near. It is so important for all of us to do what is called self-care. I'm grateful that I'm able to take secretary of that organization. I'm also on call once a week officially, but if there is ever a need for a Jewish chaplain night or day, I answer those calls 24/7. I'm also on call at UCLA Medical Center if there is a need for a rabbi. I'm also a representative to the Jewish Welfare Board's Rabbinic Council. I'm certified by the American Red Cross in case there's a disaster in this area. I'm also trained as a mediator and hold a specialty in moral injury. So as you can see, I keep busy with my work at the VA and also am very proud to be able to go home at the end of the day. My late grandfather's name was Asher, and when he met his prospective father-in-law, his future father-in-law said, "Wer is Asher?" meaning, who is Asher? But Asher is a homonym for Ashir, which means rich. He said, "Hasameach bechelko," one who is happy with what he has. This verse comes from Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of the Fathers. I truly am rich with what I have. My family has always been supportive of my passions for Judaism, Israel, and being a proud American. Shabbat Shalom.
So that's a wow, right? I'd like to call up our own Rabbi, Sheldon Kirsch, who will be honored as one of our own congregants and one of our own rabbis who served in Vietnam. Rabbi Sheldon.
I had a little surprise this morning, actually a couple of them, but one I want to discuss. Last week was the anniversary of my bar mitzvah, and Adam, I have to tell you, I know your Haftorah by heart. Still, then I found out, not only do I know you, and now that we've met, but I found out I know your family, because about 45 years ago, I was rabbi of a little congregation in Costa Mesa, California, and your grandfather, Ed, was a member of my congregation. So it's wonderful to see you again. And Adam, I want to tell you, you chanted the Amida so beautifully. I'd like to have you come back and do it at the library minyan, which is an alternative minyan that meets next Shabbat, if you're available, or 2 weeks after that, if you're available, and we can talk about it. We'd love to have you. So anyhow, my name is Rabbi Sheldon Kirsch. I'm a long-term member of Valley Beth Shalom, and the first time I spoke from this pulpit, actually in the main sanctuary, was 54 years ago, in 1968. I had gotten off a plane the day prior, like on Thursday, after serving a tour of duty with the Marine Corps in Vietnam. And I was auditioning to be an assistant rabbi in the congregation. I didn't take that pulpit, but a number of years later, I and my family became members here at Valley Beth Shalom. I'm still active here, especially in the library minyan, and invite anyone who would like to come and visit on the Shabbat. We meet twice a month. I'm here today as part of the Valley Beth Shalom congregation of observance of Memorial Day, and particularly this year focusing on Vietnam. I looked through my library in 1966. At that time, seminary graduates were required to volunteer if they were in good health for military service as chaplains in order to later be recommended for a pulpit. After consulting with a few of my older colleagues, one of whom had spent 3 enjoyable years with the Navy in Yokosuka, Japan, I decided to follow his lead and join the Navy. It was not until I was in chaplain school a few months later that I learned that the Navy chaplains, as well as Navy doctors, dentists, corpsmen, and lawyers, were often assigned to Marine units. I spent the next 2 years of my enlistment as a Marine chaplain. Chaplains generally do double duty. As a rabbi, and a newly minted rabbi at that, I saw my primary duty as ministering to the Jewish troops. But the military saw things differently, and I was appointed brig chaplain upon my arrival at Parris Island, South Carolina. I got to tell you something. For a kid who never got into trouble, walking into that place and having the gate slam shut behind you was a scary experience, even though that I knew if I asked nicely, I'd be let out after my visits. None of the Jewish troops at Parris Island during the time I was there ever wound up in the brig, although some came close. While I was at Parris Island, first of all, I'm learning about the military because there's no military history in my immediate family. And so I was learning as things were going on. But one of the things that comes to my mind is while I was at Parris Island, we experienced the Six-Day War. 1967, Israel fighting Egypt and its other enemies. I had drill sergeants who had all sorts of stripes on their uniforms come over and thank me and acknowledge what I had done in Israel. And I had to tell them I was never in the Israeli army. But it was interesting to see the respect that came across from Israel's victories. I'm keeping this short, I only have 1 page. I led services, I counseled, organized and conducted a Passover Seder for over 100 people. Actually, at Parris Island, we probably had close to 200 people. And the commanding general of the base also was a guest. I was apparently so good in Parris Island that my senior chaplain decided to recommend me for Vietnam. One of the things that happened when in Vietnam was I learned that Tet isn't just the 9th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. I was there during the Tet Offensive in early 1968, and a scary experience. What did I do in South Vietnam? I was in the I Corps, which was the area of the Marines. And what I did was I hitched a ride to the different isolated bases to meet with a few. And there was a field outside my office. And I contacted this contact, and I said, I want to go to Khe Sanh, which was being bombarded at that time periodically, but I was a chaplain, I had to go. And so I arranged for a helicopter, and I said, where will it be? Where do I have to go? And they said, look out your window. So I look out my window, and there's a great big CH-46 twin-rotored helicopter coming down and landing in that field to pick me up. I got on the helicopter. You know how many other troops were on? pilot and a co-pilot and me. They had a helicopter to take me to Quezon. So I got into the helicopter and I turned around and I looked behind me as we're flying. There's another CH-46 following after. I asked the pilot or the co-pilot, what's going on? He said, well, they're a chase plane, a chase aircraft in case we get in trouble. Fortunately, we didn't get in trouble. I got dropped off. I gave out some of my kosher food, met with a couple of troops, and then caught my ride back to Da Nang. Since this is Memorial Day, I have to tell you, the rabbi who followed me also followed and visited various places, and unfortunately, he was leaving Fubai to go back to Da Nang, and his plane did not make it. And the rabbi, one of the rabbis who was there before me, had a heart attack. So I had the good luck. I'm still in touch with a couple of my Marines from Paris Island and from Vietnam. And it was an interesting situation. One more I'll tell you about. High holidays came around, we had services. Pesach came around, and by this time I'd been in country for several months. So I sent out, we got a place in Da Nang, the USO hall actually, where we'd have the Seders, and I sent out a message to all the chaplains in I Corps in the northern part of Vietnam, saying that Passover is one of the most important festivals of the year. We would like it if you can facilitate for any of your Jewish people to come to Da Nang for 2 days to be here for Passover. And I had no idea how many we would get, but we got kosher meals, frozen meals sent from the JWB, the Jewish, say again? Jewish Welfare Board. I arranged for the ovens of the Marine Bakery to heat up a number of meals that we needed for each Seder. And they were double wrapped, so being in a bakery, they still came back kosher. I was a lieutenant at that point, which is equivalent to an Army or Air Force captain. But I was an officer, a junior officer, but I was an officer. Well, as troops came in, I said, would you please set up this table? Would you do this, set up these chairs? The plates go this way. Nobody complained, because I was an officer. Wonderful experience. We had 2 Seders with, I think, over 100 personnel at each one. So anyhow, I came back home, and those veterans here who remember their past and the fact that they came through, and we're very glad to have you and to celebrate Adam's bar mitzvah with you, and hopefully everyone will come back and be participants in our services, not on Memorial Day, but other times as well. Toda Rabah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi Sheldon. And now I'd like to call up Chaplain Dov Cohn, and I'd like to fix this microphone while I'm doing it. Maybe somebody will help me. I'm not so good at this stuff here. So, Chaplain Dov Cohn.
Are we good? Good morning, everyone. Thank you. And before I begin a few words to you, I want to thank 2 people. Actually, when COVID raised its ugly head, and serving as chairman of the board of the LA National Cemetery Support Foundation at Wilshire and Sepulveda, we have 90,000 graves, and we couldn't have the public. The VA said no. So we reached out to our friends at ABC Channel 7, and we said, how would you like to come in and broadcast Memorial Day for the world? And they did. And now I'm left with a dilemma. I have to staff this program. And I said, there's only one man, and if I can get him, we're going to have a great program. And I reached out to my friend Harvey Keenan, and I said, would you please ask Rabbi Feinstein if Ed would come and do our Memorial Day broadcasting to the world, and next to him would be Monsignor Frank Hicks, and we'd represent Christians and Jews. And Rabbi Feinstein came. And he did a wonderful job, and the world got to share, briefly, what we get to do all the time. So I want to thank both of you for making my job easier. It's always uplifting to be associated here. We have another friend, Herschel Fox, and they're just great people. So how do you begin what can be difficult? We were talking about the battleship Iowa, and when it became a museum about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I got a phone call from someone and said, would you come down and be one of our chaplains aboard the battleship Iowa? And I said, certainly, I'd love to do that. And so I did, and when we do the Gravely Awards or we do the turret explosion commemoration, we just did a 9/11, I get a chance to do that. And I get a chance to do that not only as a Jewish chaplain, but I also have a program that I want to share with you. It's called Chaplains Past and Present, Respect and Remember. The uniform I'm wearing today is a Navy uniform, and the name badge is Gittleson. And I'm going to tell you why I do that, because I have all the World War II uniforms and all the badges of other chaplains, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, and Christian. And depending upon where I go and what I'm going to do, I wear different ones. And this particular name is close to my heart because Rabbi Gittleson was a young Navy chaplain in World War II, and he landed at Iwo Jima, where over 6,000 were killed of Marines. He was Navy, but he became the first Marine Jewish chaplain. And Rabbi Gittleson was asked to do the dedication for the cemetery at Iwo Jima. And what he laughed with us, joked with us, and trained with us. Men who were on the same ships with us and went over the sides with us as we prepared to hit the beaches of this island. Men who fought with us and feared with us. Somewhere in a plot of ground here, there may lie the individual who could have discovered the cure for cancer. Under one of these Christian crosses or beneath a Jewish Star of David, there may rest now an individual who was destined to be a great prophet, to find the way perhaps for all to live in plenty, with poverty and hardship for none. And now they lie here silently in this sacred soil, and we gather to consecrate this earth in their memory. Marine chaplain Rabbi Roland B. Gittleson was Rabbi Emeritus at Temple Israel in Boston and entered rest eternal at age 85 on December 13th, 1995. May his name be for a memory. I reached out to his family when I started this program about 10 years ago and said, this is one of the things I would like to do. May I have your blessing to do it? And they said, you don't need her blessing. You can do what you want to do. And I said, no, I do need your blessing. And they gave it. And whenever I appear anywhere, I send them information about what we've done so that the rest of the world will know about Rabbi Gittleson and the other chaplains. Two other things I'd like to tell you about. We were talking earlier, and they mentioned American Legion. We didn't hear the Jewish war veterans of the United States of America. And I want you all to know, and some of you here are members of JWV, that Jewish war veterans preceded the American Legion. We started in 1889. The American Legion started in 1919. And there were members of the Jewish war veterans who helped start the American Legion in Paris, France. So I want you to remember that if you would. I got a chance to go into the service in 1962. On June 26th, in a few short weeks, I will be doing this for 60 years. I can't even believe it when I hear it. I didn't get sent to Vietnam. I was never in country. They had other plans for me, and when I got to Lackland Air Force Base in Texas, I joined the Air Force. The chaplain was there about a week, and then he was discharged for a humanitarian problem, and I ended up staying there almost 6 months. And one day the base chaplain called me in and said, "I have your orders, you're being transferred." And I just knew I was going to Vietnam. And I said, okay. I opened the orders. I was going to France. I was going to Morocco and Libya and Spain. And when I got there, I was also teaching Torah convocations at Berchtesgaden, Germany. And for 3 years, without a break, every 2 or 3 days, I was on one of those planes. It wasn't a helicopter, it was a plane in Europe. And we had bases. Some bases had very few Jews, some had many more than anyone anticipated. And then we always opened up what we were doing to the community. So when we did our seders, I heard conversation about that today. I'm very, very proud of the fact that I hold the world's record in the 3 years, 1962, 63, 64, and 65. I conducted, in one Passover season, 16 seders on 8 bases. Was in a concentration camp. When he was liberated by the Americans, he said, if I ever get to the United States, I'm going to become a G.I. Joe. And he came here when, in 1950, just in time to be sent where? To Korea. He fought valiantly with his unit. They were captured. He broke out of and back into the prisoner of war camp 40 times. And he's credited with saving 40 American lives. And for that, although it took 50 years because of anti-Semitism, for that he earned the Medal of Honor. Some of us here got to know him. And in 2015, we honored him at Calvet. In 2016, when he died, I petitioned the National Jewish War Veteran Office to start a new post. And so we have the Tibor Rubin Jewish War Veteran Post. I then, because we brought in Sam Uden, who's now the commander, we started a food program in 2020. And as of last January, we have prepared and served more than 750,000 free kosher and halal certified meals. And so I petitioned the Jewish war veterans. I said, I'd like to start a post. And our friend, volunteer Kevin Dobson, died in September 2020. I'd like to name it after Kevin. And they approved it unanimously in 2019, and I was just elected commander of that post. I've had a great military life and civilian life. It's always a pleasure. Come and see us on Memorial Day or Veterans Day, and thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so we're running a little bit tight here, so I must acknowledge Ethel Margolin, my sweetheart, my GI sweetheart. How do I get this mic? Oh, I got it. You hear me? So I'm going to walk over to her. As a favor, she came today, and Ethel was a WAC, served in 1944. What does that say? Valor, soaring valor. Oh, okay, you can say it.
I'm really unaccustomed as I am to public speaking. I'm very honored now, and I did not prepare anything, but I'm here because of, yes, I'm a World War II veteran. I'm pushing 100, and I'm just honored to be here. Well, thank you very much, Rabbi.
I thought you were going to sing the song that you sing to me on the phone.
I sang this song, everybody would leave.
Okay, so I also would like to acknowledge Earl Roth. Stand up, please. Earl is the commander of Post 603. Can you briefly say a few words?
Do you have 2 minutes up there? 2 minutes up there? Yeah, my name's Earl Roth, commander of Jewish War Veterans Post 603. We have many, many members here who are from 603. Please stand up if you're a member, associate, patron of 603. Thank you. We're the largest Jewish War Veterans post in America, and with the most active post also. Do I have 1 more minute? 1 more minute on all the Mark Twain. May I quote Mark Twain? This is going to be the basis of how the Jewish War Veterans Posts were founded. 1898, Mark Twain. Doing many, many things. We've got a food bank program going on. Roz Benjamin runs the food bank program. We have a luncheon for all the veterans in the hospitalized unit at Building 99. We have a gift for a Yank program during Christmas. Christmas gifts to all veterans, regardless of ethnicity, race, color, or creed. We have $100 worth of new clothing every month. $100 worth of clothing to the clothing closet at Sepulveda VA. And to veterans, and we have a Veterans Feeding Veterans program. And this brings in Mark Thurston, commander of our little brother post, Jewish War Veterans Post 138. We're running a program, Veterans Feeding Veterans program, and we are feeding veterans of all races. Thank you very much. Thank you, Harvey, for everything.
Thank you. And standing here is Paul Lawler, representing American Legion, also a member of Post 603. Would you like to say something about American Legion?
I think what's more important than my service is the fact that I'm a member of both the Jewish War Veterans Vice Commander with Earl and American Legion Vice Commander. But more importantly, my beautiful wife is with me. And I want to acknowledge that we've been members of the temple going on 38 years. Just our anniversary was a couple days ago. I've joined in the temple, so we've been a member here for 38 years.
Also, quickly, I want to acknowledge Wings Over Wendy's. Everybody from Wings Over Wendy's, please stand. And representing Wings Over Wendy's briefly will be my friend Warren.
I'm going to give you a thumbnail information about our group. Ethel, you don't look younger than 90. Yeah. I'd date you anytime. Huh? Yeah, I'm going to keep it very brief. We started in 2001 as two men having coffee at Wendy's. That's how the name got started. Somebody a few weeks later overheard them talking. They said, "Can I talk with you fellas?" They were schmeicing. By about the 8th week, they had 10 people meeting at Wendy's coffee shop every Monday. They wanted to get a name for it, and so they decided they were pilots and other people from the military, and they said, "Well, let's call it Wings Over Wendy's." And that's what they did. Then entered Dennis McCarthy. He was writing for the Valley Times. He heard about this group, and he was looking for a story, And he wrote the story about these men meeting every Monday. And lo and behold, from out of the woodwork, all these veterans in the valley started to show up at Wendy's at 9 o'clock every morning. And it just grew and grew. When I joined the group, there were over 200 members, all from all the services. And that's how we became Wings Over Wendy's, and some of our greatest veterans here in this room. World War II, Korea, Vietnam. So that's it. That's our story. Thank you.
Thank you. Just I want to acknowledge one more guy. I can't allow you to speak. We don't have time. But from Machal, we have Max Barashat. I don't know if he can stand, and Phil Yankowski, who is in the back. And Machal were the soldiers that fought for Israel, and then also fought for the United States. So we honored them at one time. If I missed anybody, I have one more for a second. You got to keep it brief, though.
Veterans experiencing food insecurity, and then that transformed him to something else. One day I was having a conversation with Earl Roth, and he told me he had met Santa Claus. Seriously. And we got together, and we all met Santa Claus together, and the reindeer, and we realized we had a great sponsor. And we are now engaged in a program where we are working with the VA here at Sepulveda, and we'll be working with other VAs in the Southland to get to veterans who are coming through the HUD-VASH program. They've all transferred or transitioned from the streets, sidewalks, to permanent housing. And we're taking them every month a $150 grocery card that they can use to buy anything they need at a Ralph's Food for Less. So our program is all about men and women who wore the uniform to fight for their country should not have to fight for food. Thank you.
I just want to briefly introduce Oscar Stein. Larry Schlesinger? Okay.
Larry Schlesinger, World War II veteran, served with the Military Police Battalion in France. He has the French Legion of Honor, France's highest award, and he's here with his wife, Violet. I don't know, is Oscar Stein, is Oscar here? Oscar, another World War II veteran, has the French Legion of Honor. He's 98. He's here with his wife, Maria.
Thank you. Okay. Rabbi, forgive me for going so long, but that's life. That's life. Okay.
Thank you, Harvey. And thank you to the chaplains who shared their stories. And thank you to all the veterans organizations. It is our privilege to honor you. May I ask all the vets to stand up, please? We offer, stay up. May I ask all the families of vets, if you're a family member, if you'd stand up with your family members. And can I ask everyone in the synagogue now to rise, please? We offer a prayer for these veterans, our blessings. Mishaberach Avotenu Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarif Grachav Alei Yavarech Kol Eila Shalu B'Sherut Ha'am V'Haganat HaCherut Shalanu Kodesh Baruch Hu Yimalei Bracha Rachamim Aleihim V'Yishlach Lahem Bracha V'Atzlacha Briut V'Chol Ma'aseh Yadeim Im Kol Yisrael Lachem V'Nomar Amen. May the source of blessings for the generations who came before us bless these men and women who have served, who have protected, who have defended, and who have put themselves, their lives, their fortunes on the line so that a young man might celebrate his bar mitzvah, so that we all might enjoy the freedom and security of this land. May God bless the works of their hands. May God bless them with strength of body, wholeness of mind. May God give them years, and may God give them the satisfaction that their service is recognized and celebrated and appreciated with the deepest gratitude from this community. Amen. We know that there are veterans, many, many, many who fell in combat, many, many who came back and built lives and have fallen of natural causes. And so we take a moment to remember them now. El Mali Rachamim Shochen Bamrumim Amitzei Menocha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Shechina B'Ma'alot Kedoshim U'Taharim Kazor Rakia Masim Et Kol Eileh. To the souls of those who stood to fight, who stood to defend, who stood to protect all that we hold dear in this land and about the world. May God protect their souls. Grant peace and strength to their families and wrap their lives into the bonds of your eternity. May they rest now, wherever they might be around the globe. May they rest in peace. And together we pray, Amen.
Let's sing together. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Please remain standing another moment as we conclude our service.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים יסר הארץ לתקן עולם ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Mourner's Kaddish is found in the prayer book on page 184. We ask those who recite the Kaddish in memory of a loved one to please remain standing. Everyone else may please sit down. This week, our community notes with deepest sadness the passing of Myrna Shirley Blumenfeld-Lax, the mother of Gary and Sally Lax, Martin Lax, Hillary and John Matthew, sister of Eleanor Horowitz, a grandmother of 5, including Matt and Corrine, members of our community, and a great-grandmother. We mourn the loss of Dorothy Nold, the mother of Michael Nitzan and Rachel Kelly, a grandmother and a great-grandmother. And we mourn the loss of Frances Myman, mother of Harvey and Heather Myman, Bob and Debbie Myman, Jerry and Noreen Myman, a grandmother and a great-grandmother. The words of Kaddish, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chaye echon v'yom echon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ol me'ol maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh V'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halal, shemei dekudsha brichu. Looking forward to watching you grow into the world. Noah, you going off to college this year? Where are you going? San Diego? Not too far. That's great. Far enough to be away, close enough to bring your laundry home. Mazel tov. That's wonderful. And mazel tov to your parents. Congratulations. A wonderful simcha. And thank you. Big thank you to Harvey Keenan for setting all this up. Big thank you to the American Legion, to the Jewish war veterans, and to Wings Over Wendy for joining us this morning. Big thank you to all of the vets who came to be this morning to accept our blessings this morning. Thank you for being with us. Listen to these instructions now. We're going to finish the service in about 18 seconds. When we finish the service, there is lunch. Yes, lunch, waiting for you in the hallway. However, you have 2 different places you can eat. If you'd like to come back to this room, we're going to shove the chairs aside and put some tables, and Harvey is going to lead a program with the veterans. So if anyone would like to continue a conversation with the veterans, listen to more stories, share some more experiences, all the vets will be in here sharing stories. All the vets are invited to stay in here. Anyone else, including all of Adam's family, who would like to have tuna fish and wish him mazel tov, outside in the patio, the beautiful cinder terrace is waiting for you, and a wonderful al fresco meal outside. So take your tuna fish, go outside, take your tuna fish, come in here, take your tuna fish and enjoy your tuna fish. It's an old Jewish custom to eat tuna fish when you're happy. Tuna fish makes you happy. Everyone's happy except for the tuna fish. So thank you. So please come. Thank you to our chaplains for sharing their wonderful stories. Thank you to everyone for joining. Now, one more announcement. Tonight begins another Jewish holiday. Everybody say yay. It's called Shavuot. Tonight at 7 o'clock, we gather here for our Tikkun Leil Shavuos, an evening of learning and growing together. Joined with Adat Ariel and Beth Hilla, we're going to be commemorating the 50th yahrzeit of Abraham Joshua Heschel with a beautiful program about his life, his legacy, and his teaching. So join us again tonight. Everyone stand up. Turn to the folks beside you and say, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Okay.
Et Yom HaShabbat v'kadshehu.
Savri, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagaf. And down the hatch. Not really, just take a sip. Make a motzi, ready? Baruch.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min ha'aretz.
Amen. Good Shabbat.
Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa v'kefso kol azai melech shemo nikra beyado avkin ruchi be'eti shan ve'yahira ve'imruchi geviati Adonai li velo yirai la-la-la-la-la-la, 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 Shabbat Shalom.
I get it louder, I never have to stand up. Okay. Thank you for helping me. I usually keep it in there, inside the case. In the pocket it needs. I'll open it slowly. Zip it, unzip it slowly, because that's how you break it. Zipper cups do not. They do work. One of them works sometimes. That's not a... Okay. When I got this thing, it said okay. I'll get it. I'll get it.
Dr. Jack, take care. Oh, how wonderful. You have good yichus, Evan. Yeah. That's part of it. I know where Lindell is. Trying to get rid of the old guy. He's getting stronger. It's true. So he said the other day, like, how's he doing? He said, he's up and walking now. So, well, 95 years old. Oscar Stein is another guy who's here. He's 98. Yeah.
Hello. I just want you all to know, if you can hear me, that we have gifts from Operation Gratitude for all of us out in the hallway. So before you leave, take your Operation Gratitude gifts, and thank you to Joan Ramon for doing that. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Well, it's okay. It's your fault. I'll never forgive you. Just happen until next year. Till next year. I just don't want to hear you ever say Rabbi